Howdy folks, welcome to another Empyrion update, and today is Alpha 7.0. It just dropped yesterday and there's a lot of cool new stuff, and so let's take a look at the first thing, which is the new terrain. This is Akua. You probably don't even recognize it compared to the old Akua, and this is their new texture, their new terrain, and it's a new style of doing it. I believe it's not procedurally generated right now at the moment. I think it's hand created, and so there is a terrain editor. So let's check it out here. So there's some cool mountains and stuff, and as you can see, lakes and everything like that. And so we'll go down here and we'll take a look. And so what you can do is you can go into the terrain editor, and there's a bunch of stuff here. So you can see here there's a bunch of cool things, and so you can change the terrains here, the textures that is, for the different looks, and you can change, let's see, where's the, I'm not sure which ones these are, but yeah, I haven't haven't actually worked with it yet, but here you go. Here's the different terrains, or the textures that is, that you can replace with different things. And so yeah, and I believe you can actually change the height maps as well, but I will do the details of that in a different video. And I believe they've done this for different planets too, all the different planets. Let's try with a correct spelling, and it should be the new thing. Yep, it's the new thing on I believe all the planets except Masperon and the moons, I believe is what they said. And so yeah, that's the new terrains, and that's pretty cool. And the next thing is going to be crafting. And so now we have a bunch of new stuff in crafting. So what they did was they changed the names of some of the components here. So we now have energy matrix instead of control device. We have nanotubes, mechanical components, optical fibers, and oscillators here, sathium alloy, cobalt alloy. And as you've noticed here, or as you might notice now, is the flux coil formula has changed, or the recipe has changed. And so we've also got zascosium alloy and erestrum gel now that are made out of the ores and stuff, and so, or out of the ingots or whatever. And so now you also need a flux coil in order to make power coil and a lot more ingots and stuff. So these have changed, and they've also removed the requirement of magnesium for the basic ammo here. And so as you see, the bullets are now just the steel plates, and they aren't actually the magnesium anymore. And so they've also changed, as you see here, the erestrum and zascosium. I'm not sure if it's the zascosium yet, but yeah, some of the more advanced ammo requires more advanced materials to make, which is pretty cool. And they also added a small vessel warp drive for, there we go, for short range. So we now have a short range warp drive for small vessels, and the longer range warp drive for the capital vessels. So I believe that's in preparation for expanding the universe, and hopefully they'll be adding in the galaxy and basically new solar systems now. And so the warp drive for the CV would be the one that you use to get to the other solar systems. Another new addition is the textures. They've added and updated a bunch of the textures, and so we now have a lot more 3D-ness to the textures. As you see here, we've got basically bump mapping. I forget what they're calling it now. That's the term I used to know it by. But yeah, as you see here, the contours on the textures now have some depth looking to them, which is really cool. And they've also added a size here, so you can do small, medium, and large range. So when you do this, it textures larger areas. And let's see what the large does here. See how big? There we go. And so yeah, you can texture much bigger areas. Nice. With the texture now. Awesome. And I believe the color does the same thing, so let's take a look quickly here. The The color is, so we can do large and see how much blue we get. Yeah, there we go. Alright. Next is a bunch of additions to the building tools. So we'll take a quick look at some of it here. So when you hit N as usual to open that up, now it stays open, you don't have to hold down the N key anymore. And they have both building and debug tabs here. And so what you can do is you can set up symmetry planes on a half axis now. So let's take a look here. Let's see, let's switch to number 3. I think you need to still do a block, or is it setting a selection here? Here, we'll do the symmetry plane. So as you see here, we can set the symmetry plane to X, Z, Y, Z. There we go. And so yeah, you can set that, and I believe you can now set it to a half block. So let's see. So you can set it in the middle of the block or between blocks, which is awesome. So it should be able to build now on both sides. There we go. Alright, let's see if that will hold. Yep. And so you can now build odd numbered and even numbered, both. And they also now have a selection tool. And so let's turn off the symmetry plane so we can see. You now have a selection tool, and so what this does is this sets a selection. Let's see if we can get this to work. And let's see, we've got this, and so yeah, it puts up this thing, and you can size it with this, with these double handles. Whoops. With the double handles, you can size it in that direction on that axis. And so this goes like this, and then this just increases it or decreases it. Nope, looks like it just increases it by 1. And then this will move the axis, the whole selection over. And I believe this one, yeah, when you hold it down, it allows you to slide back and forth to move the whole selection on that axis. And so there we go. We can move it up, down. We can move it on this axis, and etc., etc., and you can make it bigger, smaller on each axis. And so that is the selections, and then you can copy and paste and cut and delete and remove selection. And so I believe, yep, you can actually do the list like this. And so yeah, I will do some more details on all of these. We'll do an Academy video with all the details on how all those work, because I still have to figure it out myself. But yeah, it looks like they are adding a bunch of creative tools too. And there is also new mining stuff. So they have changed some of the mechanics of the mining. And so as you see here, it starts with the deposit label itself has changed. And so they've also changed the drills. I believe they've sped up the drilling now and everything too. And so what you see is, if you can see these subtle little marks here in the background here, you can see the blue little outlines. And so that is these. So now the deposits are actually consisting of rocks that are under the ground instead of the actual terrain that you're digging out. And so let's see, let's get one that's close here so we can actually dig on it, and we'll show you what it does. Okay, so now we've got one exposed, and so now when we drill on it, it shrinks and gives you ore as it shrinks. So it's basically like an underground version of the asteroids. So we'll show you here. As you see here, and it's picking up the ore, and we can do the same thing with this drill. If it loads, that is, as it reloads. And so there is also an ore scanner, and so when that is in your inventory, let's trash that. When that is in your inventory and you have a drill active, it shows you those outlines. So that helps you find the ore, and I believe that is a somewhat advanced. Let's check it out and see what the... Let's see what the... Nope, it's not going to show me what the... It's not going to show me what the formula is for it, so we'll have to look up the formula. And there is the recipe for the ore scanner, and so that is just the basic stuff, the mechanical components, energy matrix, computer, and cobalt alloy. And I'll show you guys, because that is this, and this, and this, and computers. And so, yeah, you guys, the reactor cores and all that. And so, yeah, you guys who have played before are familiar with those for the most part. So it's not really any advanced ores or anything that you need in order to make it. Another change with the mining is for creative mode, there is a debug drill. And so we take this thing and you can go nuts with it. And so it has the same tools, but it should go quite a bit faster. As you see here, you can make giant changes to the terrain in a very short amount of time. Really cool, really cool. I've been asking for that for a while, so I'm really happy about that. Another significant change is that the auto miners now deplete the ore deposits. And the multi-tool has been updated so that now when you pick parts from public stuff and when you use the deconstruct mode, you do not always get all the parts back. You only get about 30% with the tier 1 and 60% of the materials back with the tier 2 multi-tool. Now when you get too cold, there will be a subtle frost indicator on the sides of the screen. It's still a little subtle for my taste, but they're adding that. And a subtle heat indicator. As you can see, everything is wavering, or maybe you can't see. It's very subtle. Another improvement is for the offline protection. For those of you who play multiplayer, they have changed it so that it no longer uses ammo when your turrets are firing while your offline protection is engaged. And another little change here you see is the map from space. Obviously is a little bit different. This is the lava planet. But yeah, there have been quite a few improvements and changes, and so you can see the changelog on the forum as usual, and I would suggest checking them out in the game as well. And so that's going to be it for this update, and I'll see you in the next video. Later!